GM. GM. So, daily levels, Sunday, and what can I say? What has happened since yesterday? Absolutely nothing. So, expectations, not much has changed. Expecting the market to drift downwards into the CME Open tonight at 11. Because I think generally there's more downside liquidity to attack here. So this was drawn out from a few days ago, and we hit the first liquidity level. You've now got a little zone of liquidity in here, which is also that 36.8, that old VWAP level that price is really respected. It's a level I think we can hit for sure, because even if we're going to go higher, I think that would make sense, because anyone piling into longs these days is just getting punished over and over and over and over. And it will keep happening as long as people keep piling into alts. We've got Ethereum with higher volume, equal volume as Bitcoin. Always a good sign. Not. So people are chasing Ethereum a bit. This is kind of concerning. Obviously, I'm quite bullish Ethereum, but for Ethereum to do 5.8 billion in volume on a Saturday and be higher than Bitcoin, while price doesn't move, that tells me what's going on here. Distribution of some sort. I would rather see that happen during the week if Ethereum has some genuine reason to run or some narrative. Let's see what's happening with Bitcoin. It won't break through the 50 MAs on the weekend. There won't be anywhere near enough selling pressure to actually break it through there. It'd be very easy to defend that, right? That doesn't mean the 50 MA is holding rock solid, obviously. It just means that Sunday, Saturday, they're not aggressive enough market participants to push it below. And obviously, for the same reason, there's nobody really aggressive enough to push it up. Not much change. Market's flat. OI's flat. Spot's been selling, but doesn't really matter what spot does or futures do on over shorter time frames, or over any longer time frame even. But shorter time frames it does matter. But am I concerned that there's spot selling on the weekend? Not really. If you zoom out, there's always spot selling, right? That's just the nature of the market, because it only deals the market order side. And this is an important thing. Like, actually, I'll talk about this a little bit now, because students ask me quite a bit today. Oh, what about spot CVD? And well, I mean, if you overanalyze spot CVD, you would just think that the market's bearish all year, because both of them have just gone down, right? So when you go to a high time frame, why is there always net selling on spot? There's many answers. The main one being market makers and especially miners are constantly selling, right? They're just on Binance USDT and they're constantly selling Bitcoin because that's their job. Now, it doesn't always have to be them. They can sell it to OTC. They can sell it to market makers. The market makers go and actually sell it on Binance. But in effect, it's the miner sell pressure. And that doesn't mean anything, right? So you can have spot CVD or any CVD, but you can have CVD consistently negative. But if it's known, then it won't affect the market. It's priced in. So we know miners will always sell because it's their job to sell, just like an oil producer sells oil, just like a gold miner sells gold, right? It doesn't affect the price of gold or oil or Bitcoin unless there is some supply change, right? You'll see like Saudi cuts production, right? Price skyrockets. But we don't have that in Bitcoin. It's all fixed. And so that can be forecasted and scheduled and accounted for. So they know exactly how many Bitcoin is being produced every single day. And they know exactly how many are going to be sold. And they can adapt and fit their approach to that. So where is CVD useful? Because again, I get this question a lot. Low time frame. 15-minute, 1 hour maximum. And then you're looking for divergences at certain key points, right? I'm sure it won't take long to find one. Here you can see that on this push, it depends, again, where we're at. No, it was pretty equal when we're in the push. You can see sometimes on moves like this, right? See on this first move down, spot CVD started off at a higher point, okay? And then finished at a lower point. Obviously, the derivatives CVD caught up after. But spot CVD was obviously selling off more because it went from above the perp line to below the perp line. And then the perp line only caught up whenever there was a liquidation candle. So you can use that in two ways. You can use this to say spot is leading the selling, right? So the spot were leading the selling. And that means price is likely going to continue lower until something changes. And then when you saw that last little bit where there's a big spike down in CVD of perps, which is the blue line, that can tell you that it was a liquidation candle and that there should be at least a temporary bottom. Because it was spot selling, and eventually that broke the back of some derivatives traders and they got liquidated. And whenever they get liquidated, stopped out, panic, close, whatever, that often marks a temporary bottom as it did here, and then we just grind it back down because spot weren't finished selling. Then spot finishes selling. Guess what? Market bottoms. Then on the next little push up, spot leads it. And then when you zoom way across, you see you actually go higher because spot was leading the rally up. Spot led the decline down. But that only matters on very low time frames. Because all you're trying to do is find a very small window where they're diverging. And with that said, I think it's the least important thing you need to learn. It's not the least important, but honestly, it can be useful in combination with as this part of a system, but it doesn't predict anything. It's certainly not magic, and I wouldn't be overly obsessed with it. I don't know what I've done there. All right, Ethereum. What's been going on with ETH? Because they've had high volume. Yeah, people are chasing ETH a little bit. Nothing crazy, but we've had 100 mil. Oh, that's not to be sniffed at either. So 100 mil flying in on ETH here on the weekend. Do they know something? It's quite a nice box forming though, if you're a lover of the box method. That's very nice. But I don't trust weekends, of course. That's just a general good rule to live by. So if Ethereum makes it out of this box, right? If it goes out before, during the middle of the day, I'd be mindful of it just being a move up to grab some liquidity and come back down. If it stays in there and stays nice and tight and compressed, that could produce a bit of a better move once we get towards the CME Open. But at the same time, again, I think Ethereum is leaving behind a lot of liquidity here, that if it's going to actually break out to 2,500, which is all that really matters, right? We don't really care about a breakout to 22 and then back. If you're wanting the big breakout, which I don't think timing-wise is going to come yet anyway, but it's probably not going to leave behind all these free stops, right, where everyone just gets a free ride. It's probably not gonna. But remember that big tick up in open interest that hasn't sold off yet? Yeah, looks now like that was a big player. Well, I mean, it's obvious it was a big player because it was, you could see by the shape and structure, this isn't retail aping. This is someone opening a massive position. The question was just, were they going to close it, right? I haven't closed it yet. So that's interesting. What else? That's about it. Not a whole lot else to update on before weekly outlook, which tonight will be later than usual as I'm flying. I see the Bitcoin meme coins are on the move again. Ordinals and meme. I'm going to talk about that. I have a lot to talk about in Weekly Outlook. It's going to be a fucking banger. I'm going to talk about Solana ecosystem. I'm going to talk about BRC20, Bitcoin ecosystem. There is even, and I dread to say it, there is even an emerging trend about Dogecoin DRC20, Dogecoin ecosystem. And so this is going to become the new fucking meta, I guess. All these chains are going to have their fucking shitcoin equivalents. So, fun times. We'll talk about all that on Weekly Outlook. GM. See you then.